Peter, after 4 weeks, a lot of teams have impressed. Which AFC team, in your opinion, do you think is the head of the class?
I'll be quick. We just spoke about them. I think the Kansas City Chiefs.
Sure.
I think their defense showed us a lot last night, too. They stopped the Broncos when they needed. I know they've given up a ton of yards, but they're number one in the league on third down, which means they're stopping teams. And a lot of the yards they gave up those first 3 weeks, they were in games that they were up by 20, 30 points. So I think as long as Mahomes keeps playing this way, Kay, you showed the schedule coming up.
Yeah.
Jaguars,
Pats.
Bengals, Pats. Those are all teams. I think they're the teams that are scared of the Chiefs, not the other way around. I'm going Kansas City Chiefs, head of the class in the AFC.
All right, that's a great pick, of course.
Great.
I'm going to go with the team that's been in school a long time. I mean, they're in 13th grade right now. I'm going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. And I've kind of got this little voice in my head say, don't fall in love with the Bengals. I kind of am falling in love with them because they were a little bit like Wooderson and Dazed and Confused, just around and around and around, and they never really graduate. They got their act together right now. They got a new trapper keeper, and they got the calculator, and they're getting A's. I like what the Bengals are doing. That game they had against Baltimore was awesome. That one they had last week was awesome. They passed. I would call those tests. I would call those big tests. And in the past, the bigger the test is, the worse the grade has been for the Bengals. So I'm going to get Cincinnati head of the class. I like it.
All right, Kay, what you got?
The Ravens.
Okay.
Because
All right.
I'm looking at a
I like 'em.
balanced team. I still do have questions about the Kansas City defense, and I feel like if you're the Ravens, their defense is stout. It's amazing. They're going to stifle people all season long. It's the fact that they're 3-1, and Joe Flacco's having like the best start of his career, especially since being in the Super Bowl and winning that Super Bowl. His passer rating through 4 weeks, he's got 8 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. I think the fact that he's averaging like 313 yards a game and hitting guys like John Brown, getting his running backs involved, Buck Allen's a thing, Crabtree, and the like. I'm loving them, and I do not think that they're getting enough love.
All right. I'm going with a group of kids that sat in the back of the classroom, talked a little bit, but they stole our hearts because they were getting high grades on tests. It might rub the teacher the wrong way, but they love them in the classroom. I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they are absolutely incredible. The Jags are that group of individuals that they talk a lot, but they back it up. And I love the fact that last year they kind of pick up where they started. The offense is coming along, and if you say, well, what are they doing without Fournette? How about T.J. Yeldon?
Yeah.
Him making plays in his replacement. Young wide receivers stepping up and playing big. I have faith in Blake Bortles. They don't give him all that money for no reason. Of course, that defense, still one of the best in the business. And I know you're saying, well, Nate, they lost to the Titans. Oh, you're talking about one of the best teams in the NFL? So I'm going with the Jags, man. That's my team right now. They get a high grade from me through the first quarter of the season.
So which AFC team needs to stay after class? Who needs a little bit of a pep talk, a talking to? I will go with the Steelers, because the Steelers are the kid in class who's so bright and so talented, and everybody in the class knows it, and he's sitting in the back row goofing off and throwing spitballs.
Yeah.
Like, that is Big Ben, who has the most talent around him. He's in all the AP classes. He's in honors everything, and he's flunking out to start the season. His worst start in terms of record and passer rating, guys, since 2013, when the Steelers went 8-8 and they missed the playoffs. He's turned it over 7 times in 4 games. You are too good for that. You're not a C student. You're an A+ student. Let's go.
All right, I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. When I was in the 4th grade, I had straight A's. I was that guy that wanted to get the best grades every single day.
Okay.
Then I had the chicken pox, and I was out for a while. And I remember I came back, and everybody's like, Nate, where'd you go? I was only gone for like 4 days. Where'd you go? You missed so much. That's Deshaun Watson. He stole our hearts. He was getting grade after grade after grade. We're like, man, this dude is amazing. Then he has that ACL. And he comes back, and everybody's like, where'd you go? Where'd you go? And now that he's back, he hasn't really recaptured that magic. They got their first win, but I'm looking for them to take this momentum and pick it back up, but they haven't fulfilled expectations because really he was my guy for MVP who I wanted to go with. But I'm looking at the Texans right now. They got a little bit of an incomplete thus far.
They got things going on after last week. They need to keep on going with that momentum.
Sure.
I'm going to go with an interesting one here. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. We pat the Cleveland Browns on the back so much on this show and in other shows on the media. Cleveland Browns are 1-2-1 right now. They should be 4-0. The Cleveland Browns should be 4-0. They led 21-7 week 1. They missed a 43-yard field goal and had a million opportunities to win that game against Pittsburgh. They didn't. They missed 2 extra points here against the Saints in New Orleans. They should have been 2-0 there. They beat the Jets, obviously. And last week, I know everyone's going to point to the refs and say it was the officiating, but on 4th and inches, up 8 points late in the game, they're punting the ball. They're also up 8 with 1:20 left to go. They lost to this team, the Raiders, on the road. I think the Browns, as much as we're happy to see them have a win and have a tie, and as much as we're thrilled to see them in the conversation to at least be relevant this year, should be 4-0. They're 1-2-1. That's terrible. Let's go, Browns. Should have won those games.
All right, if I'm going to talk about getting through to a student and reaching them, I'm going to talk about some students that have been spending most of their life in the middle of a gangster's paradise. And I'm going to talk about the Oakland Raiders. I'm going to Dangerous Minds. I can reach these kids. I'm Michelle Pfeiffer. If I turn my chair around and talk to them like this, they'll trust me. I'll become
Put on a leather jacket.
We talked about how they fake bad. They led in every game at halftime that they lost.
Yeah.
And then they came out and won last week. Here's what you love if you're a Raiders fan, though. This is the student with potential. I see potential in you. You're underachieving. Marshawn is very good. Jordy is very good. I like what Doug Martin gives them when he comes off the bench. So the oldest trick in the book is to take this F, and if you take the F, guys, you can go like that, and you make it into a B. That's what it is. And I think the Silver and Black have B potential up from that F start.
So earlier in the show, we talked progress reports, right? First quarter reports. You hated them in school, but you love them on Good Morning Football. So looking back at the first 4 weeks of the season so far, we did the AFC the last hour. Let's talk NFC. 4 weeks in, a lot of teams have impressed us. Kyle, which team do you think is the head of the class in this conference?
I think it's the team that plays its home games in the 3-1-2. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears.
It's 7-7-3.
No, Soldier Field's 3-1-2. 7-7-3 City. Soldier Field proper is 3-1-2. Yeah, I looked it up before the segment. I want to make sure I got it right. 3-1-2. Either way, the numbers that matter are 3-1 because that's what the Bears are right now. And I look at them, they're a very specific type of star students. Sometimes you get these people who are straight A's, straight A's, straight A's, straight A's. And there's that one B plus that they're hung up on because it makes them not the number one in their class rank and everything like that. And I hate to go so backhanded against the Bears, but that B plus came in week 1. And they got a professor who did not give them the A, and that is Professor Rogers, and they got a score to settle in the second semester with Professor Rogers. Because these other classes, I mean, the Tampa class, they aced that. Every other class, they've looked fantastic on defense. And last week, spectacular valedictorian, magna cum laude type stuff on offense. So the Bears, my valedictorian. That's it, head of the class. The Rams, of course, have something to say about that, but I like where the Bears are going.
The Rams might have something to say about that, but how about the Saints? This is my Super Bowl pick representing the NFC, and they're making me look good so far. I know you look at the record and it's 2-2. Well, guess what? They started last year, 2-2, same sort of deal, and I feel like they're more complete now than they even were then. I was expecting them to survive, to make do without Mark Ingram offensively, but you've got Michael Thomas off to just a heroic start with what he's done, catch after catch, and you have Alvin Kamara, who's literally an alien. Like we joke about robots and aliens, he is actually not a human being. This is still the number 3 offense in the league. And with Michael Thomas and Kamara on record-setting paces, Kamara leading the league in yards and touchdowns. Thomas is going to break Marvin Harrison's all-time receptions record, maybe. So we'll see how this goes once they get Ingram back in the mix and that defense starts turning it up even more.
It's scary to play there, too. That's the thing. Some of these teams, you go into their buildings, there's history, whatever, but to go into New Orleans in a big game, not many people come out of it. For me, I got to go with the undefeated team, the Los Angeles Rams. Sure. It's not that just they're undefeated. Their point differential right now is plus 73, meaning they're just blowing teams out. Now, I know haters will come out or detractors will say, well, they haven't left the state of California yet, and they haven't played a real contender yet.
Peter, say hi, haters.
Hi, haters. No, this is my Super Bowl pick before the season started.
Peter.
The Rams, I think they're getting better. I think they had their best offensive performance last week against a really good Vikings defense on a national spotlight game, but plus 73 through 4 games, that is unheard of. It blows every other team's point differential out of the water. They're the head of the class right now, and until someone shows me otherwise, I can't go against it.
Yeah, I'm the teacher that's teaching a different subject to the same student, and I'm saying to myself, he's an A student in my class too, Shrakes, and I'm going with the Rams. And, you know, we all been in school where there's somebody that's been a little bit shorter, a little bit younger, and we're like, is he supposed to be in our grade? Is she supposed to be in our grade? It's the Doogie Howser effect, where there's been a young kid who's 4 grades ahead. That's Sean McVay. Sean McVay came in as this young quarterback, and it was good. It was fun for us to tease and talk about, but he came in and said, nah, I'm not a shtick. I don't want you guys to pat me on the back and rub my head like, get your hands off me. I am a genius out here with this play calling. I don't just have talent. I'm going to make sure my talent is the best position pre-snap and post-snap, and he's taking that into this season. So for me, I'm looking at Sean McVay and what he's doing with this offense. We've seen so many talented teams not have successful offense because their coaching and play calling it doesn't help them out. So I'm going with Sean McVay in that offense.
That's who we think for head of the class. I love that. And you've got the Rams and the Chiefs as your heads of classes for the 2 different conferences, and they square off here in a couple of weeks in Mexico City.
11 in Mexico City on a Monday night game, Chiefs-Rams.
Yeah.
So who's the team, the player, the coach, whoever, that needs to sort of stay after class, be spoken to, the teachers calling their parents? What do you guys think?
I always like that kid. You know, I root for that kid, and I like the Detroit Lions, but they're my team right now because they just fit fit the bill, all right? They've got one win. Their coach could not look more like a high school teacher if he tried. He's just missing like a tweed and a disheveled briefcase with papers coming out of it. And also, if you look, I mean, the wide receiver, Golden, I love Golden Tate, but now there's this thing where he's come out and said, I shouldn't be acting like that. I got a talking to on the sideline from my coach. It's almost like he was asked to stay after the game. Golden, you just be you. I'm not your coach. I'm just one of your admirers. You be you. You're one of the most entertaining players in the league. And then if you look at, transgressions you can make in school, the rookie running back, there's a long history of guys wearing Big Johnson t-shirts to class and having to turn them inside out. They're not allowed in school, and Carry On is certainly in that club. But I think Detroit, a lot of work to be done, a lot of characters, but also still very likable.
True.
So I'm rooting for them because so much personality and so much talent.
Minnesota Vikings are the most disappointing team for me because I thought they were going to come in with this stout defense and just stomp on teams and then beat the teams that they've got to beat to get on. They played two teams that I think are real Super Bowl contenders. The Packers, they tied. The Rams, they lost. And then they've played two games that, you've got to win. The Niners gave them everything they had. They survived with a win. And that Bills loss to me is still a complete confounding question mark. How did this happen? Now, I know Everson Griffin had some stuff off the field during the week, but that doesn't explain Dalvin Cook touching the ball, I think, 4 times, them just running 6 rushing plays, and never getting it going at home in that building against the Buffalo Bills. So you're going to pay Kirk Cousins $84 million, and the NFL Network ran this NFL Now documentary. That was really sweet, and it was all peas and carrots, and Kirk Cousins off season, and what a sweet guy he is, and what a nice guy he is, and aw shucks, and here it is. I'm going to just be
wholesome.
Go win a game.
Yeah.
Go make it happen, because when you're getting paid that much money, it's no more what a nice guy Kirk Cousins is, no more fun stuff. Go win these games. They got the Eagles in Philly. Get a revenge win and show that you're better than Case Keenum, and you can get them over the hump.
I'm looking at the only team that hasn't won a game in the league, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. And David Johnson coming in and us saying, David Johnson is going to tear this league back up. He's going to snatch that crown back as the best running back in the league. And he is that type of player that can change the complexion of the organization. And it just hasn't happened. And, of course, the quarterback issues. That's one thing that we don't want any team dealing with this far into the season, where all of a sudden they're making a coaching change. They brought Bradford there to take responsibility of being the quarterback, and he's already on the bench. I mean, the first couple games, they get blew out. Last couple games, decided by 3 points or less, which is fine. Seahawks and Bears. Good for you. But you still haven't won a game. So, for me, it's the Cardinals.
In my entire life, on progress reports, never once, or report cards, ever had an A or an A- in math. Never. Always a B, B-. People hated math, always punted on it, didn't care. And I'm no mathematician. I can't even balance my checkbook, but I do know that Saquon plus Odell plus Ingram plus Shepard does not equal the 29th ranked offense. Like, that does not make sense. Those are not two equal things. Yeah. I know enough about that. So the fact that the Giants have so much talent, how can they be 1-3? What equation on a TI-89 calculator will give you this outcome on such a talented team? How have they not scored 30 or more points since 2015? But Eli has been sacked 15 times. We know the answer is the offensive line. I don't know how to fix them, but they've got a way to go.